Some days you wake up and realize you don't recognize the person looking back at you in the mirror. Maybe you're going through the motions, but nothing feels meaningful anymore. Maybe you had a plan once, but somewhere along the way it stopped making sense. Maybe you're surrounded by people, but still feel completely alone. If you've been feeling lost lately, like you're drifting without direction or purpose, this message is for you. Today we're talking about what to do when you feel lost in life. Not the kind of advice that tells you to just think positive or find your passion, but real, practical steps that can help you find your way again, even when everything feels unclear. Our mission is to make psychology easier to understand so people can better understand their emotions, relationships, and themselves. If our videos have ever helped you feel a little less alone or gave you something to think about, consider subscribing and supporting the channel. Your support allows us to keep creating psychology content that helps people everywhere. And if you're feeling lost right now, know that you're not broken, you're just in a difficult chapter. Let's walk through this together. Understand that feeling lost is actually normal. First, let's talk about something important. Feeling lost doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Psychologists recognize that identity confusion and periods of uncertainty are normal parts of human development. Erik Erikson, a developmental psychologist, even identified this as a natural stage in life. Think about Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. For most of the series, he struggled with who he was supposed to be. He questioned his purpose, his values, and his direction constantly. But those moments of confusion eventually led him to discover who he truly wanted to become. When you feel lost, your brain is actually doing something important. It's reevaluating. It's asking whether your current path still aligns with who you are becoming. That discomfort you feel might not be a sign that you're failing. It might be a sign that you're growing. Here's how to work with this feeling. Instead of fighting the uncertainty, try acknowledging it. Say to yourself, I feel lost right now, and that's okay. This feeling won't last forever. Accepting where you are is often the first step toward finding clarity. Stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. One reason feeling lost hurts so much is because we look around and everyone else seems to have it figured out. They have careers, relationships, clear goals. Meanwhile, you're still trying to figure out what you even want. But here's the truth, most people are more confused than they appear. Social media shows highlight reels, not the messy middle parts. Even people who seem successful often feel uncertain behind the scenes. Think about how many successful people have talked about feeling like frauds or not knowing what they're doing. Psychologists call this imposter syndrome, and it affects even highly accomplished individuals. Here's how to build this habit. When you catch yourself comparing your life to someone else's, pause and remind yourself that you're seeing their outside while feeling your inside. You don't know their struggles, their doubts, or their fears. Your only job is to focus on your own next step, not to match someone else's timeline. Reconnect with what actually matters to you. When you feel lost, it's often because you've drifted away from your core values. Maybe you've been living according to what others expect. Maybe you've been chasing goals that sounded good but don't actually fulfill you. Psychologists often use values clarification exercises to help people reconnect with what truly matters to them. Values are different from goals. Goals are things you achieve. Values are ways you want to live. For example, creativity might be a value. Connection might be a value. Growth, honesty, adventure. These are compasses, not destinations. Here's how to build this habit. Take a few minutes to write down moments in your life when you felt most alive, most like yourself. What were you doing? Who were you with? What made those moments meaningful? Look for patterns. Those patterns often point toward your core values. When you start making decisions based on your values instead of external expectations, the fog starts to lift. Take one small step, even if you don't know where it leads. Feeling lost often comes with paralysis. You don't know what to do, so you do nothing. You wait for clarity to arrive before you take action. But here's what research on decision-making shows. Clarity usually comes from action, not before it. Think about Chihiro from Spirited Away. She didn't have a clear plan when she entered the spirit world. She was terrified and confused, but she took one step, then another, and slowly found her strength and direction. You don't need to have everything figured out to start moving. You just need to take one small step in any direction that feels slightly right. Here's how to build this habit. Ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do today that might help? Maybe it's researching something you're curious about. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you admire. Maybe it's trying something new, even if you're not sure it's the right thing. Action creates information, and information creates clarity. Let go of who you thought you'd be. Sometimes feeling lost comes from holding onto an old version of yourself or an old dream that no longer fits. Maybe you thought you'd have a certain career by now. Maybe you thought you'd be married or living in a different place. When reality doesn't match the story you told yourself, it creates confusion and grief. Psychologists talk about something called self-concept flexibility. It's the ability to update your sense of identity as you grow and change. People who can do this tend to handle life transitions better. Here's how to build this habit. Give yourself permission to outgrow old dreams. It's okay if what you wanted 5 years ago isn't what you want now. It's okay if you've changed. Growth often requires letting go of outdated versions of ourselves. Try writing a letter to your past self, thanking them for the dreams they had, and gently explaining that you're choosing a different path now. This simple act can bring surprising relief. Spend time with people who see you clearly. When you feel lost, isolation makes it worse. You start believing the confused thoughts in your head are the only truth. But other people, especially those who care about you, can often see things you can't. They notice your strengths when you've forgotten them. They remember who you are when you feel like a stranger to yourself. Think about how Frodo in Lord of the Rings would have been completely lost without Sam. Sam reminded him of who he was and why he kept going, even when Frodo couldn't see it himself. Here's how to build this habit. Reach out to someone you trust, not to get answers, but to be seen. Sometimes just talking about how lost you feel can help you process what's really happening. And often, the people who care about you will reflect back qualities and possibilities you couldn't see on your own. Create structure even when nothing feels certain. When life feels chaotic internally, external structure can be surprisingly grounding. Psychologists often recommend routine as a tool for managing anxiety and uncertainty. You don't need a perfect plan for your whole life. But having small, predictable rhythms each day gives your brain something to hold on to. Here's how to build this habit. Choose 2 or 3 simple things you'll do every day no matter what. Maybe it's making your bed, maybe it's a 10-minute walk, maybe it's writing 3 things you noticed that day. These tiny anchors won't solve everything, but they create stability when everything else feels uncertain. And stability, even in small doses, helps your mind feel safer to explore bigger questions. Trust that lost is not the same as stuck. Here's something crucial to understand. Feeling lost means you're in transition, you're between chapters. That's uncomfortable, but it's not permanent. Stuck is when you stop moving entirely. Lost is when you're moving but can't see the destination yet. There's a difference. Psychologists who study life transitions note that periods of confusion often precede significant personal growth. The discomfort you feel might actually be the growing pains of becoming someone new. Here's how to build this habit. When you feel lost, remind yourself that this is temporary. You won't feel this way forever. You're not stuck, you're searching. And searching, even when it's uncomfortable, means you're still moving forward. If you're feeling lost right now, please hear this. You are not behind, you are not failing, you are not broken. You're in a season of uncertainty, and those seasons are part of every meaningful life. The fact that you're asking questions, that you're searching, that you care enough to feel lost means you're still connected to something important inside yourself. And that connection, even when it feels faint, is enough to guide you forward. Keep going even if you're going slowly. Keep asking questions even if the answers aren't clear yet. Keep showing up for yourself even on days when you don't know where you're headed. Because eventually the fog lifts. And when it does, you'll realize that being lost was actually part of finding your way. If you'd like more support on your journey, consider exploring our resources below. And if this video resonated with you, please subscribe and support the channel. Understanding yourself is the first step to finding your way. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care.